Hey everyone, Josh here, and we're going to be doing a breakdown of the San Francisco 49ers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in particular, we're going to be paying extra close attention to Jimmy Garoppolo's performance. We're going to see how he did, so let's get into it. Okay, this first play is a pretty straightforward handoff. San Francisco is going to pull the tackle, Mike McGlinchey, and Kyle Juszczyk is going to follow behind him, and the running back will follow behind both of them. But when we take a look here, we see that George Kittle, the tight end, is kind of just off in the middle here, sort of blocking, but not really blocking anyone. And you probably already know where this is going. This isn't a running play. Deebo Samuel is going to go deep, taking these two defenders with him, and George Kittle will simply cut across the formation. And you'll notice that even though there's a linebacker right there, he's going to have to stop and change directions. And when you have to do that against George Kittle, there's no way you can recover. Garoppolo gives him a nice, easy pass to catch, and it's a 19-yard gain for the 49ers. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you'll know that this is something that the San Francisco 49ers really like to do a lot. Kyle Shanahan did the same thing last year in Minnesota and in Kansas City. Now, one thing you will notice is that each time the formation and the play design itself is slightly different. And this is something that Shanahan does really well. So it's hard for defenses to defend it, even though they know it's coming. Okay, this is later on in the same drive, and San Francisco is in a run formation. The running back is simply going to follow the fullback like this. Now, if you take a closer look, that's actually the fullback right there, Kyle Juszczyk, lined up in the tight end spot. And George Kittle is lined up in the fullback spot. This is an interesting play. Juszczyk is going to block, and Kittle is simply going to run out and catch a pass. Let's take a look. Okay, now already Kittle is wide open on the play. This is a walk-in touchdown. But there's a rule. You're not allowed to block before the receiver catches the ball, and Juszczyk is blocking too early. This is going to get called for a penalty. It's a shame because it really didn't affect the play, but this group of officials, 7 out of the 8 of them had 2 years of experience or less. So they're going to call everything they see nice and tight by the book, and that's what happened here. Now, Juszczyk can claim he's running a route there, but the truth is he was blocking, and everybody knew it. Okay, they settled for a field goal, and this is the next drive. The reason I'm showing you this play is because the San Francisco 49ers are in a very similar formation as the previous play, except this time they actually follow through with the run. And this is what makes it so hard to defend them when they pass out of this formation. Because, as you'll see here, this run is successful. So defenses really have to defend the run first, and it means sometimes they will get burned when the 49ers pass out of that formation. Let's skip ahead to the second quarter. San Francisco is facing a 3rd and 12, and they're backed up on their own 5-yard line. The slot receiver is just going to run a little curl, but let's take a look at where the safeties are lined up. Here's the line of scrimmage, and as you can see, the safeties are sitting right there. Now, they can't actually afford to just sit there at the sticks, because if they do, they'll get burned for a deep route by either the slot receiver or the flanker up top. To prevent that, when the ball is snapped, they will backpedal like this. This is going to leave Deebo Samuel one-on-one against the corner up top. He gives him a little shake and bake. Garoppolo puts the ball right where he can catch it. And the thing about Deebo is he always makes the first man miss. Remember that. I'm just saying, it might come up later. The safety comes down and delivers the blow. Samuel hangs onto the football, powers through it, and gets the first down. On a 3rd and 12, that's very impressive. And take a look at this ball location. Ooh, that's nice. That's going to be tough for teams to defend. Okay, it's the same drive, but a penalty has backed the 49ers back up to the 10-yard line again. They send the running back, Tevin Coleman, up top. Now, Rondé Barber did a great job on the telecast of explaining why this doesn't work. You see, here's the line of scrimmage, except this time the corner can sit at the sticks because a running back is not a threat to go deep. he doesn't have to worry about getting burned. So he can just sit there and wait for the ball. Let's take a look and see if there's anywhere else Garoppolo can go with the football. These two wide receivers are covered, and it might look like there's a wide receiver on the bottom with a little bit of space, but the truth is there's a defender already rotating over to pick him up. The slot receiver here possibly has some space, but the truth is, when you're throwing from your own 5-yard line, it's just not wise to go through that many progressions on a play. Garoppolo should have just thrown this ball away. Instead, he tries to rifle it into Coleman, and because the corner was sitting on the play, disaster strikes. Now, there's no doubt that this was Garoppolo's worst throw of the game, but what impressed me was how he responded after this, because after he made this throw, Garoppolo was 12 of 19 for 1 touchdown, no interceptions, a quarterback rating of 96.6, and 0 3-and-outs. How you respond is very important in football, and after that throw, Garoppolo had a pretty good game. So let's move on to the next play. This is, in fact, the very next play of the game, and there's a lot to like about it. The 49ers send these receivers all into the middle at the same time in this kind of zone of chaos here, and their plan is to just run Coleman underneath it and hit him with the pass. Now, this is Kyle Juszczyk here, and I want you to watch him on this pass, not Coleman, and I'll show you why. Okay, it's another pick play, but this time, notice how he sits up. He does not contact the defender contacts him, which is a penalty on Tampa Bay. This is an in-game adjustment by the 49ers, who I felt really adjusted to the officiating better than the Buccaneers did. Take a look again from this angle, and it leaves Coleman wide open legally, and he gets a huge gain on the play. Very nice. Later in the same drive, the 49ers face a 3rd down and 7. The Buccaneers are only going to rush 3. This leaves 8 defenders in coverage. So let's take a look. The corner up top will handle the wide receiver like this. The slot corner will handle the slot receiver, while the safety will handle his area of responsibility on the field. Now, San Francisco does have a tight end on the line, so the linebacker will pick him up. The other safety will handle his area, as you might think. So now the play comes down to these 3 defenders. The flanker on bottom will go deep, and the corner will cover him. The safety will end up rotating over there too. That just leaves these 2 defenders. If Dante Pettis cuts to the inside, the linebacker can pick him up and help out with coverage. So the play, as you might suspect, is designed to go to the outside, leaving Pettis one-on-one against his man. Now it's tight coverage, but here we see Pettis' outstanding ability to separate. Garoppolo hits him with the football, and it's a completed pass. Now we're going to take a look at one other thing from this angle, because, just to give you an idea of how hard it is to play quarterback in the NFL, everything I've just described to you about the defense on that play, Garoppolo has to read pre-snap. And he did. He knows right where to go with the football. But there's one more element to it, which is that he is going to make sure he holds that linebacker in the middle of the field by staring him down. And only when Pettis makes his break does Garoppolo turn to look at him and then make an accurate throw. There's a lot of reasons that he has success, but one of them is he does all the little things right. Naturally, the Buccaneers are getting a little tired of this, so they send a 6-man blitz on the play. The outside corner will pick up Kendrick Bourne, while the strong safety for the Buccaneers, Jordan Whitehead, will pick up George Kittle like this. However, there's a miscommunication on the play, and both of them end up covering Bourne. Check it out. Now the other safety comes down to deliver the blow, but he bounces right off of him, which is understandable, I suppose. The other thing about this play is Garoppolo had pressure. He had a man right in his face, and look at the accuracy of that throw. Right in the numbers. Unfortunately for San Francisco, this play never counted. It was called back due to a penalty, and we're going to take a look at it. The offensive line here is setting up for pass protection, And you can see there's already that little curve in it as they're getting ready to make a pocket when they snap the ball. Now, there's a rule about how far you're allowed to curve that. And the rule is your helmet must break the plane of the butt of the center. So let's take a look and see right where that plane is. Okay, there's the plane, and now we're going to look at where Mike McGlinchey's helmet is. There it is in green, and you can see it clearly breaks the plane. This was a horrible call by the officials, and Garoppolo and George Kittle got absolutely robbed of a touchdown here. You see the flag come in, and the really interesting thing about this is, if a tackle is lining up too far into the backfield like that, the official will usually warn him earlier in the game. And it's unclear if that happened in this situation or not, but either way, I think this is just an incorrect call. Okay, if you're the 49ers, that sucks, but you still have to move on to the next play, so let's take a look and see what they did. The first down marker is at the 5-yard line, and this receiver is nowhere near it. These two receivers are covered, and it might look like George Kittle has a little bit of space in the middle, but if you look closely, there's a defender laying in wait for him. If Garoppolo tries to squeeze that ball in there, it could be intercepted. So that leaves Kendrick Bourne, and he is one-on-one with his man. Now, which way does he run here? Does he go to the inside, or does he go to the outside? You see, he actually has a choice in this situation. That's called a sight adjustment. But how does he know what choice to make? Well, there's a very simple guideline that's applicable in this situation, which is you don't run into coverage. You don't run towards coverage. If Kendrick Bourne runs to the outside here, away from the coverage, this play will be a touchdown. And that's right where Garoppolo puts the football. Inexplicably, Bourne cuts to the inside, and the result is an incomplete pass. Kendrick Bourne ran the wrong route, and it cost the 49ers a touchdown. I would expect to see probably a little bit more of Dante Pettis and a little bit less of Kendrick Bourne in the next game. All right, we're going to move on to the third quarter now, and as you may have seen, the 49ers are facing a 3rd and 8. They have a trips formation up top, and at first glance, it looks like the Buccaneers only have 2 defenders. Now, this is a bit of a smokescreen. Devin White is going to fake like he's blitzing Garoppolo and then drop back into coverage himself. This is a little bit of a zone play here. But the Bucs don't really execute it very well, and it's actually kind of hard to execute. So when James goes deep like this, 2 defenders go with him, and the safety backpedals on the play. And we'll take a look, and I'll show you why this is a problem, because the slot receiver cuts the inside, and White does pick him up, but that means absolutely nobody is on George Kittle, who you should probably cover on 3rd down. Now, this actually turns out to be really impressive because Kittle, he doesn't have a whole lot of space there, so he has to slide a little bit, and Garoppolo has to wait for him with a man right in his face, and he's already started his throwing motion, and he gets the ball right to him. Great chemistry between those 2 players. Take a look again from this angle. Wow, that was awesome. Tim Ryan said he thought that was Garoppolo's best throw of the game, and I would have to agree. We're still in the opening drive of the 3rd quarter here, and San Francisco starts this next play with a little handoff to Kyle Juszczyk. And the Buccaneers defense reacts strongly to the play. All of them pretty much get caught looking in the backfield. This is a big problem for the Buccaneers because this isn't a run, it's a pass. Marquise Goodwin streaks to the post, and he takes his corner and the safety with him. This leaves Richie James one-on-one down the sideline. Garoppolo looks off the safety and then hits James with an absolute dime for a 40-yard touchdown. Now we're going to look again from the same angle this time because there's something extra that's especially impressive that I want you to notice on this play, which is that James in the beginning fakes like he's going to run block on the play and then gives his man a little bit of a stutter. And it's very difficult for the quarterback and the receiver to get that timing down, especially with a look-off. But take a look. That's impressive chemistry between the 2 of them. Boom, touchdown for James. Okay, I showed you Garoppolo's pick six earlier in the game, so it would only be fair if I showed you Winston's pick six, right? Now, what's interesting about this play is it has the same problems that the Niners play had. They have a running back split out wide. Richard Sherman knows that he can't get beat deep. The running back cuts to the inside instead of cutting to the outside, and Sherman's just sitting there waiting for the ball. He's got great ball skills, and he takes it to the house. All right, it's getting a little later in the game, and the Tampa Bay defense is getting a little tired in that hot and humid weather, and San Francisco really starts to get their run game going. On 3 consecutive plays, they bust off big runs right through the heart of that D. Take a look. Now, when you've done that, you know at some point they're going to sneak in a pass and burn the D. Well, the Niners are in a run formation here. They've got a fullback and a running back in an I formation. The entire line is going to flow to the left like this, and the Buccaneers defense is going to pretty much do an all-out run blitz here. This leaves Marquise Goodwin one-on-one. He's just going to run behind the defense. And let's take a look and see how it unfolds. Now, Garoppolo throws this pass a little behind Goodwin, and he drops it. And there was a lot of criticism of Garoppolo on this play. And they were right. He's got to make a better throw. It's a touchdown if he does. At the same time, this is also a pretty catchable ball. Goodwin's got to catch that. These things happen. On to the next play. I included this next one because if we're taking a look at Garoppolo, we've got to know how his mobility is coming off that ACL. Here it's a 3rd and 14, and the pressure gets home, and Garoppolo takes off, and he busts off a 20-yard run to get the first down. That's going to make you feel pretty good if you're a 49er fan, knowing that he will be able to run on that knee. Unfortunately, this play was called back due to a penalty, and we'll take a quick look at it here. Right there, you see McGlinchey's big paw holding on the play. Otherwise, the defender might have gotten to Garoppolo. So, it's a fair call. The Buccaneers kick a field goal, and they're only down 3 points with 4 minutes to go, and the Niners are facing a huge 3rd down here. This is when it's absolutely critical to execute in the ball game. And the Bucs decide to send an all-out blitz. 5 men. No, make that 6 because they're going to send the linebacker too for good measure. Now, this does mean the safety has to cover the running back. So when the inside slot receiver cuts to the middle, it leaves the 2 receivers up top one-on-one against their corners. And for good measure, they run a crossing pattern like this. Let's take a look. Now you can see right away how hard this is to defend. And the receiver is intentionally interfering with the defense here. However, again, notice he does not touch them. He does not block before the pass is received. And oh, by the way, that receiver that's coming open isn't a receiver. It's actually George Kittle. Now, when we go back and take a look from this angle, you're going to see that when it counts the most, when you have to execute, that's when you have to have your best accuracy, and the football hits Kittle right in between the numbers. Great players aren't always great. They're just great when they have to be. Okay, that might be a little hyperbolic, but I'm having fun with it, so what the heck. Rock solid drive for the Niners, who kick a field goal and go up 6. And now the Bucs, with just a minute and change left, are in desperation mode. And let's face it, this game was all about the defense. And this might be my favorite screenshot of the whole game, is Winston just being completely surrounded by Bosa, Armstead, and Ford here. And forced, remember, he can't take a sack in this situation, forced to throw up a prayer. Picked off by Akella Witherspoon. Touchdown San Francisco. The 49ers made plays all day long when they needed to make the most in very tough conditions. And it's just like Vince Lombardi said, all plays succeed on the blackboard, but men make them work. Now there's a nice little bit of coaching by Kyle Shanahan at the end of the game here. Mathematically, there's no difference between a 12-point lead and a 13-point lead, but there's a big difference between a 13-point lead and a 14-point lead. So, the correct move in this situation is to go for 2. They split Deebo Samuel out wide, put 2 wide receivers out there to block for him, and just get him the football. Take a look. The defender is right there to make the tackle, but remember, Samuel always makes the first guy miss, and this is no exception. He powers right through him and takes it in for the 2-point conversion. One last note here, which is that the blockers can't engage before the pass is received. So Garoppolo has to throw this dart right to Samuel accurately and super fast, and he delivers. Well, there it is. We took a look at it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think Garoppolo did some good things, and he did some not so good things. For a quarterback coming off of an ACL tear his first game back, I think this is okay. Obviously, he's got a lot of things to improve on, but the foundation is still there. If you're a 49ers fan and you're wondering, is the foundation still there? It's absolutely still there. Very encouraging sign for the future. And we'll see how good he can get. He has all the tools he needs to be successful, and time will tell. But I like what I see.